I see we have some viewers. Good morning everybody. Welcome to AMS Live. Rick, goedemorgen. Grietje, goedemorgen. Roodhawk, goedemorgen. Nia, goedemorgen. Welcome to the stream everybody. Welcome to AMS Live on this Monday morning. My name is Boy. I'm standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 18 right. Currently in use for departures, as was the case yesterday. Now today the wind is blowing from the northwest. Yesterday it was from the northeast. At the moment 2 runways are used for departures. 36 left, where I'm currently standing at, and runway 24. Runway 27 is in use for arrivals. I think I might have typed that incorrectly in the ticker, now that I think about it. It is dry at the moment, the sun is out. We do have some rain showers that are coming from this direction, so what we see in the distance might come this way. It might also dissolve as it's moving this way. Thus far most of the showers have dissolved, and it was also said on the weather forecast that the showers would only last until the morning, and later during the day it would get dry and more sunny. So I'm currently set up in the dry configuration, but I did bring a umbrella with me should it start to rain, to keep the camera dry. Looking at the weather radar, if it were to rain, it wouldn't last very long. I would have to hold the umbrella with one hand, so that means that if I would need my umbrella, operating the camera would temporarily be hindered, but I figured it was worth the trade-off, as it's most likely going to stay dry mostly, so putting the rain cover over the camera seemed like a bit of overkill. Will be interesting to see how long the current runway configuration will remain active, because the wind is coming from the northwest. So using runway 24, the Kaagbaan as a runway for departures is not optimal in terms of wind. Less optimal at least than using the Polderbaan. It's not exactly warm. I already got my hat back from the cabinet I had put it in, assuming that since it is spring officially, and since we also went to summertime last weekend, I wouldn't be needing it anymore, but there you go. I also brought thicker gloves than yesterday, plus my hand warmer once again. It's already warming my right hand, with which I do the panning and tilting, and I will switch it to my left hand shortly, because my hands get cold very quickly, and while setting up with all the cables you have to do that barehanded. Doing it with gloves is not very easy. I'm also trying to figure out the most optimal settings for the drag settings for my tripod. I always use a rubber band to smooth out panning and tilting, and I placed it higher on the panhandle, so basically artificially introducing more drag, which means that the rubber band is under tension as you pan and tilt, which it wasn't when it was lower on the panhandle, and that works as a shock absorber, but you need to have the tension, and I didn't have it. But now I'm also trying to figure out what is the optimal drag setting on the tripod. So I think the tilt needs to be a little bit more loose, and the panning is now properly set. Now, I'm not sure if maybe Schiphol already changed the runway configuration, because as you can see, it is already getting a bit more busy. Currently going to the threshold is a Dreamliner from Etihad. Oh no, it's a 777, apologies. But before that is going to take off, we are seeing a little Embraer from KLM that will take off first. So the current temperature is approximately 4 degrees centigrade or 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind is blowing from the northwest. It is set to increase during the day. Thus far it's not very hard, but might get a little harder later in the day. But the weather will get drier insofar as there is any rain at the moment. And I hear the triples pulling up, so let me quickly turn around for you guys. No time to follow the airplanes too long. Otherwise, we'll miss out. So yeah, there's a disclaimer for today's stream. If there is going to be a shower, I will have to take out the umbrella because my camera is exposed to the elements. The upside is that we can see it coming this way in advance, and it's not going to last very long. Maybe this can cause a rain delay later. Thus far, that is still far away. And Rem also joining, and Rick both mentioning how the weather in the north of the country is a bit different from what it is over here at the moment. Now let me have a look at Flight Radar, because I didn't have the time yet to inform you guys about the traffic we saw taking off. At the threshold momentarily is KLM flight 1127, Boeing 737-800 going to Copenhagen. Back to the camera quickly. A typical Dutch sky, picturesque. As long as the showers stay away from me, it's a beautiful sky, but you have to look at it from a distance. So let's hope it stays that way. I'm already noticing the difference of placing the rubber band higher on the panhandle. Hope you guys can see it as well. It is less shaky. Now also there is less wind, but beautiful KLM Dreamliner climbing to the sky against a beautiful backdrop. And here is an A333 from Air Baltic. It is going to Riga. This airplane is 4 years old. First flight was in March 2019. I see we have a few more viewers. Welcome everybody to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan. When I was setting up, it was one of the 2 runways used for departures, along with the Daagbaan. Not sure how long it's going to be that way, because I do see traffic taxiing this way on my left, which may mean that this is currently once again the only runway in use for departures. These airplanes are taking off in northern direction. If you guys are unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol, the wind currently blowing from the northwest, so the airplanes are having a little bit of crosswind from the left. And at least for the first part of the day, some showers with wintry precipitation have been predicted. We might also see some later. I have my camera exposed to the elements because the sound is better, and also camera operation is more easy than with a rain cover over it. I do have an umbrella with me. If it is going to rain, or if hail or snow is going to fall, I will have to get out the umbrella, hold it with my hand, which means that I will temporarily not be able to provide you with the images that I'm doing right now, because operating a camera is a two-hand operation. You have to pan and tilt with one hand, and you also have to zoom in and out using the other. But for now we're good, and the upside of the weather is we'll see it coming. Now at the threshold is an Embraer 190 from British Airways, operated by BA City Flyer. It will be going to London City. The airplane, 10 years old. First flight was in April 2012. Now this Embraer obviously not heavily loaded because it didn't need to use a lot of runway to take off. At the moment, the air temperature around 4 degrees centigrade or 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind still calm. It is set to pick up a little later during the day, but the upside is that the precipitation is also expected to basically fade away. Steve J, good morning, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Hope all other viewers are also doing well. By all means, feel free to interact in the chat. So there's a baby 737. The smallest of the bunch, the 700s. KLM operates a couple. Transavia also still has a few, although most of their fleet is 800s, and I think they might even have a couple of 900s. And I think I can also see a couple of heavies coming this way. Currently at the threshold is another of KLM's Embraers. This is a 190 outbound to Dublin. 13 years old. First flight was in March 2010. Jordi Freudenberg, goedemorgen. Noel Romero, good morning. Checking in from Boston, Massachusetts. Hope you're doing well. Still early over there. Are you up early or are you a night owl that still has to go to bed? What is it? 7 hours time? No, 6 hours East Coast. So that's 6 hours time difference. And the Embraer 190 off to Dublin, taking to the skies. Now, I do think I will have to get out the umbrella shortly. It does seem that the shower is getting closer by. Now, thus far, the showers that we have seen have also reduced in intensity as they go over the land, so maybe, hopefully, it's going to die out before we are impacted by it. At the threshold at the moment, in the KLM 100 years livery, is KLM flight 661, outbound to Houston, 3 years old, first flight June 2019. And let me quickly go back to the controls. No time to waste. The wind does seem to be picking up somewhat, which is something you see when a rain shower or a shower of precipitation is coming, typically preceded by an increase in wind. But as I said before, the upside is that we can see it coming. Take precautionary measures if needed. Might also have to close my laptop tent to make sure that no precipitation will go into it. Meanwhile, another Dreamliner is already lined up at the threshold, ready to take off. And Noel is a night owl. I feel ya. By nature I'm a night owl as well, although for streaming I am able to get up early. Something I really enjoy doing. I think that helps to give you the motivation and energy to get up in the morning, but normally speaking I'm a night owl. If you see me go to bed before midnight, it means I'm typically ill. This is a Dreamliner 787-10 on its way to LAX. Beautifully lit by the sun in the morning. The livery of the Dreamliner outbound to LAX. The airplane we see is new, 2 years in service. First flight was in December 2020. And already making a left-hand turn. That is a signal that is trying to avoid the weather. Now, if I zoom out, you guys can see white stripes, which means wintry precipitation, snow or hail. If I zoom out, you guys can see it is getting closer. So, as I said before, I am out here without a rain cover over my camera because most of the time it is dry. The showers that are coming typically don't last that long. I do have an umbrella with me. If it is starting to rain or snow or hail or whatever, I will temporarily have to get out the umbrella and hold it with my hands. So that means that operating the camera will not be possible temporarily. At the threshold, at the moment, an Embraer 175 outbound to Stavanger, KLM flight 1199, 5 years old. First flight was 5 years ago. So I did, of course, check in advance if the showers only bring precipitation or if there's also lightning involved, and I didn't see any lightning, so that's why I felt safe to go out and do some streaming. If the showers were also with lightning, then obviously being out here in an open field, not the smartest idea. I have my own power supply. I don't need any additional electricity. Now, the Dreamliner we saw banking to the left prematurely, and yep, she's doing the same, avoiding the shower that we also see in the background. Normally speaking, the standard instrument departure is more, they have to climb in the runway heading for a longer period of time before taking a left-hand turn. But this is obviously something they do to avoid weather. So, meanwhile, another A333 from Air Baltic is lined up at the threshold. Off to Tallinn. This airplane, an A320, 3 years old. First flight, May 2019. Now, as its destination lies to the northeast, I'm curious to see if it's going to make an early right-hand turn to avoid the weather. I'm still unsure of whether the shower we see in the distance is going to affect me. Seems that most of the shower is going to pass in front of us. We might get exposed a little. So it is getting closer by. You can see the wind is coming from, I would say, this direction. So the majority will probably pass by in front of us. We might get a little bit of the left edge, if you will. It does make for beautiful footage, the dark background and the illuminated airplanes in the foreground. Also deviating from the standard instrument departure, taking an early turn to avoid the weather. Just checking what the direction of the clouds is. Yeah, I think I will have to get out the umbrella shortly for a brief moment. Most of this is going to pass in front of me, but I think this little bit might affect me. Now this BA flight, although I didn't check flight radar, is going to the UK, so undoubtedly it's going to make an early left-hand turn to avoid the weather. Or prove me wrong, of course. Hey Wendy, goedemorgen, good morning. Don't know if I said good morning already, but if I already greeted you, my apologies. So, good morning to everybody who has joined us in the meantime. Elton Lopez is checking in from Brazil. Good morning to you. Currently, 2 airplanes in the vicinity of the threshold, one already lined up, the other almost. This is KLM flight 1167 outbound to Helsinki. I think most of it will pass in front of me. I think this little bit will cause some precipitation. I already see the white stripes over here, so won't be long. So let me take a few precautionary measures. I will close off my laptop tent. Jean-Yves, good morning. And Andy Taylor, good day to you. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Now I'm doing a little prep work to make sure that my equipment stays dry, because I think we will see a few drops of rain or maybe some hail. Will probably be short-lived, but I will put up the front cover of my laptop tent, which is with Velcro. And I have my umbrella already set up. Now, as I said before, I operate the camera today in a dry configuration, which means that if it is going to rain, I will have to take out my umbrella and shield it from the rain as long as the shower lasts. Not expecting a lot of precipitation, so that's why I chose not to put on the rain cover, because it impedes the sound and also makes operating the camera more difficult. Currently taxiing to the threshold is KLM flight 743. It is a 777-300ER that is going to fly to Lima. The airplane first flight was in March 2015, which makes this airplane 8 years old, or at least the duration of its operation. Alright, double checking to see if the laptop tent will hold. Yeah, already had the power supply in 2 layers of garbage bags, so the electricity will stay dry. I think I feel a few droplets. So after this departure, I might have to take out the umbrella. Don't see any traffic taxiing this way just yet, so now let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see what I'm seeing over here. There is a shower and it's passing mostly in front of me. There are a few small droplets. Oh, I do feel some precipitation now. Okay, well, camera lens in the opposite direction. Yeah, there's some hail starting to fall, so I'm getting out the umbrella now. And I'm standing now behind the camera with the umbrella out. Now I don't see any traffic coming this way just yet. Oh wait, there is an airplane in the distance. Let me also... So I'm operating the camera now with my other hand, and with one I'm holding the umbrella. I also have gloves on, so hard for me to hard for me to switch between flight radar that I have on my phone, that I have mounted onto my tripod, and the chat, so I am unable to see the chat at the moment because I don't have another hand available. To switch apps and it doesn't work when I press with my glove on. Well, you guys can probably hear already the precipitation already seems to be slowing down. As we're waiting for this airplane, let me zoom out and give you a broader overview. So this is to the, what is it? Oh no, I spoke too soon. We still have some precipitation. In that case, let me just zoom in a little. The wind is picking up a little bit, so I'm also holding the camera or the umbrella now with two hands. Wind is also picking up a little bit, as you typically see when there are rain showers. Now if I look behind me, let me see if I can show you guys. No. You guys have to take my word for it. I already see blue sky behind me, so I think the precipitation will be over in a few minutes. Wind is picking up somewhat. I see in my laptop tent that my laptop has fallen over. Hopefully you guys can still properly see and hear everything. I have a little brick in my laptop tent to prevent it from blowing away too much. And I also put the laptop on top of it so that in case rain were to get into the laptop tent, it wouldn't get the laptop wet. All right, well, let me take down the umbrella again, have a little check to see if everything is still all right. Now why won't my umbrella fall back in? Huh. Seems a little rusty. All right, so away with the umbrella. The camera lens seems to be dry. Let me also remove the front cover of my laptop tent again. All right. All right, so quick check. I saw that the main microphone was out. Turn it on again on the switcher. Are you guys hearing everything properly? Also the ambient noise, the shotgun mic, is it back on again? I think it should be. So, passing over was this shower, which just a little bit passed over me. This is the direction of the wind. As you guys can see, for now we are going to be alright. So back to streaming as before. It is Hey Pepito, guten Morgen, herzlich willkommen. And Rick, thanks for confirming that everything is still good. Laura says sound is going on and off. Are other people experiencing the same? Alright, so back to the action. Delta A330. If I saw correctly on flight radar, it is outbound to Detroit. Now, as the shower that hit me just now has passed over, I'm expecting that this airplane will follow the regular standard instrument departure once again, which means that it's going to fly in the runway heading until it reaches the Amsterdam the North Sea Canal, sorry. That is the water that is connecting the inland lake of Markermeer with the North Sea. Lies north of Amsterdam. If you look on the map, you guys can see, because of noise abatement, these airplanes have to follow strict rules, because otherwise they cause too much noise for the people living around Schiphol. Now, as we saw earlier a couple of minutes ago, when there is weather, of course, and they want to avoid it, they can deviate from the rules. That's always the case, but in most instances they will continue flying straight ahead until they reach the canal. Then they will take their left-hand turn and go to the North Sea and towards the United Kingdom to cross the ocean somewhere on one of the North Atlantic tracks. So yeah, for those of you tuning in later, welcome to AMS Live on this Monday morning. My name is Boy and we are standing alongside runway 36 left. The Polderbaan being used in northern direction for departures. Wind is blowing from the northwest. We still have the occasional showers with wintry precipitation that pass over us and over the country. For now we're good. This is the direction of the winds. There is something visible in the distance, but it's still far out, and as the showers get closer they also decrease in intensity. So we'll have to see how much precipitation we will be seeing later. For now, we're waiting for new traffic to taxi this way. Here once again, the shower passing over me just now. Beautiful to see. A very Dutch sky. Particularly if there's also a KLM airplane in the foreground taking off. So we have a little break to wait for new traffic, which allows me some time to check in on everything. I see that Alex has also joined us. Goedemorgen. So, how's the sound, everybody? Laura was mentioning that the sound was going on and off. Is everything okay, all right, for you guys, or are more people experiencing on and off sound? If I look over here, everything should be working properly. Hey Rick, thank you so much for your super chat. Very much appreciated, my friend. And I'm glad to hear, or at least to read that people are not experiencing any sound problems at the moment. Nia, I don't know if I said hi already. It's been a bit busy. Guten Morgen, herzlich willkommen. Everybody who has joined us in the meantime, welcome to AMS Live. If you're new to the channel, you're liking what you're seeing, do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive a heads up. And if you have the time for it and are feeling like it, you can join us once again. It also helps me greatly to reach more people like you and me, who are also into aviation like you and I. Oh, and I did. Okay, Nia, thank you so much for the feedback. So, let me see what's cooking, because there is an airplane coming this way. And that is a 777 from KLM, a 777-300ER, KLM flight 713, outbound to Paramaribo in Suriname, in South America. The airplane, 10 years old, first flight was in May 2012. And there are more. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. It's heavies time. I see many more heavies following. We have Delta flight 179 taxiing this way. That's an A333 that is going to Portland. There is an A330 Neo coming this way from Delta, flight 57, outbound to Salt Lake City. We are seeing a Delta 143 outbound to Seattle, another A330-300. There is another A330-300 from KLM, flight 579 to Dar es Salaam in Africa, also coming this way. A whole slew of narrow bodies. It's going to get busy, folks, and I apologize in advance that I will not be able to interact with all the chats if you guys are chatting. And Spice Fire asks, no paying memberships on this channel. Well, I am preparing it, but it is a bit difficult to figure out what it is that I could offer for a premium. Also, still looking at what, if I were to offer memberships, if it's going to be a single tier or multi-tier thing. I mean, you have to also be able to deliver on what you're offering for paying members, and that's something I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I could do. I did see one channel, Speedbird TV, that offers a symbolic membership with no perks for 99 cents a month. So basically only for those who want to contribute to a channel. But there are so many other channels that are doing multi-tiered offerings. So I'm still trying to figure out what suits me the best. I am looking into it, and if it ever comes to that, I will of course announce it to everybody in the chat, in the streams, but also probably on my channel. But so far, no paying memberships yet, but I am looking into it. But it is involved, and I haven't figured out yet what suits me the best. So for those of you who tuned in later, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boyd, this is the Polderbaan, currently used as runway 36 left for departures. The airplanes take off in northern direction. Wind is coming from the northwest, so a little bit of crosswind from the left. We are expecting a lot of heavies. They are all taxiing this way. You can see them on flight radar well in advance because runway 18 center, 36 center is still closed for maintenance, which means that all airplanes taxiing towards this runway will have to taxi around it, go down the runway, around the threshold and back up to get over here. Now, with the dramatic background of the shower that hit us just now, we are seeing all the heavies coming this way, also further out in the distance. Well folks, I see already a few suggestions. If you guys have any specific wishes or things you look for in channel memberships, do let me know in the chat. I might not be able to read them immediately. I do read all the chats from each stream when I get home, all the messages. So Roadhog, I also saw your explanation of you not being Sebastian. Didn't see it at the time, but I did when I came home yesterday and read everything. So I do read all your messages, so do hit me up in the chat if you have suggestions for things you look for in channel memberships. I'm very much interested to learn what you guys are looking for. Now, this is a sight to behold. There are 3 A330s from Delta in a row. Hopefully you guys can see it a little bit when I'm zoomed out fully. It is and there's the next A330 is from KLM, is also coming this way. So 4 A330s in a row, ladies and gentlemen. Feels like we're at a Delta hub. 3 back-to-back A330s from Delta. First one to Portland, and there she goes. Going to be back-to-back action, so I will not stick with the airplanes for too long after they've taken off. I will keep following them to see if they retract their landing gear. Yesterday we saw the A330 that didn't take off initially, but after 20 minutes or so at the sideline over here, in the end did take off. And when it did take off eventually, it didn't retract its landing gear straight away. Here a Neo. And Spice Fire, thank you so much for your generous super chat. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend. I am able to glance at my laptop from over here every now and then. Yep, the gear is going up. Now, here is the direction of the wind, so we are good for now. And that's a good thing because look at this, it is getting busy. Airplanes coming this way. Airplanes forming a line, a queue. The third A333 from Delta already lined up. And Aniruda, thank you so much for your kind donation, your generous donation. Thank you so much, my friend. Very much appreciated. So, another A330 from Delta. Here the difference between the old ones and the Neos. Time to go back to the threshold for the fourth consecutive A330. This one from KLM. And if I recall correctly, it's outbound to Dar es Salaam in Africa. Jean-Yves asks if I've been asked for videos, NTSB for instance. I haven't. Who knows, maybe one day. For now, not yet. When I glanced at the laptop just now, I see that more viewers have joined us in the meantime. For those of you just tuning in, welcome to AMS Live on this Monday morning. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan, currently in use for departures. The wind blowing from the northwest. These airplanes take off to the north. There's a little bit of crosswind from the left. We are expecting rain showers in the mornings. We have had one just now. This is the direction of the wind. So for now we are good. It will stay dry most of the time. Hence I didn't pack my camera in the rain cover to allow for easier camera operation and also for better sound. Now there's a lot 737 at the threshold, but it might be the case. Oh no, the lights are going on. To my left there is also a, I think it's, oh no, it's also a 737. It's getting busy over here, you see it. Don't know if runway 24 back when I was setting up and also updating the ticker. 24 was also used, and 27 was used for landings. I don't know if 24 is still open at the moment. Given the prevailing wind, this runway will stay open throughout the day, I expect, but might be the case that 24 only temporarily. Now the 737 is still waiting to enter the runway, so let's go back to what seems to be a Neo from SAS. Yep, it's a Neo, you hear it clearly. I like the sunglasses look on the cockpit, don't you? A short takeoff roll. Also a very quiet airplane. You heard it. It sounds like a mini 777, but it is much quieter. Now let's see what's going on. I see that it's very crowded over here, folks. You guys can see airplanes queuing up, an airplane at the threshold, airplanes queuing up over here. Makes me think that this is the only active runway for departures at the moment, but you guys can probably see better than I can at the moment. Let me just focus on getting you the best picture. And Air Serbia. So that was either a 318 or a 319. I think it was a 318. Did seem very short. The baby bus. Now the 737 in front of me is entering the runway. Let me have a look. That is a flight from Ryanair to Dublin, 737-800, flight 42321, 12 years old, this airplane. Folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you receive a heads up and can join us once again. It also helps me greatly to reach more people like you and me. Into content like this. Alright, let's see. A CRJ waiting, but not yet on the runway. At the threshold we do have one airplane lined up already. A 737 from KLM. Let me quickly glance at flight radar. It is going to split KLM flight 1945. 737-800, 9 years old, first flight, May 2013. So now the CRJ is entering the runway for departure. SAS CRJ 900 off to Copenhagen, 7 years old, first flight March 2016. Meanwhile, you guys might hear some fireworks. That would be the Schiphol scarecrows, the bird controllers, chasing away some birds. If the weather doesn't chase them away, then fireworks will have to do the trick. Still, no end to the queue. You can see several planes are underway over here. And in the foreground over here, K1, bird controller, recognizable yellow pickup trucks. Let me quickly go back to the beginning of the runway. We have a 737 that is taking off. That would be the bird controller. Alright, Delta A330 Neo. A real beehive of activity over here at Schiphol on this Monday morning. Alright, no issues with the gear. The direction of the wind, we are still good for the time being. So let's turn around. There's a 777 lining up at the threshold. And that would be China Southern Cargo, a 777 freighter to Chongqing. 9 years old, this airplane. No time to waste. Meanwhile, I see that my laptop blew over once again, so let me double check in a moment. Hopefully everything is still working properly in terms of the sound. No time to waste. The line still forming. New airplanes coming this way. Let me rearrange some things. Alright, hopefully this works better. Sound should be good still. Alright, well, folks, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy and it's a very busy morning. At the threshold momentarily is BA flight 2825 outbound to London Gatwick. The airplane 20 years old, first flight July 2002. Tuned in later, we are having a few showers that are being blown over here by the northwesterly wind. We did have to halt the stream, or at least the camera work, the active camera work, for a few moments as one shower passed over. Still visible in the distance over there, but already far away. It will stay mostly dry and the sun is out. Not that it's very warm. The precipitation during the showers can be wintry. We also had a few hailstones, but temperatures, otherwise air temperature at the moment approximately 4 degrees centigrade or 38 Fahrenheit. Though spring has begun, and we also have switched to summertime over here in Europe over the weekend. Other than the sun now being out, it otherwise doesn't feel like spring has begun just yet. Earlier this morning, 2 runways were in operation for departures. Runway 24 was also used, but I don't see any planes in the background taking off from it at the moment anymore. So it seems that this is the only runway now in use for departures. The airplane's departing in northern direction, the wind coming from the northwest, meaning there's a bit of crosswind from the left, although not a lot. And for now, it's still back-to-back action over here. Now if you're new to the channel and you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Make sure that when you do subscribe to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you receive a heads up. And if you have the time for it and are feeling like it, can join us once again. It also helps me immensely to reach more people like you and me who are also into content like this. The faster this channel grows, the more quickly I can start doing this full time, which I definitely would if I could, if the finances would allow me to. Taking off right now is a 777-300ER off to Johannesburg in South Africa. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, those GE90s are second to none when it comes to the sound they make when spooling up for departure. So, on the threshold, on the threshold already, a Dreamliner from American 203 outbound to Philadelphia. 7879, 6 years old, first flight December 2016. Back to the camera quickly. Gotta love the wing flex of those Dreamliners, particularly as they do the takeoff roll, increasing the load on the wings, making them flex even more. Beautiful. But there's no time to waste because another heavy already lined up at the threshold, ready to go at a moment's notice. Let me quickly go back to Flight Radar, give you some background information. It is Delta Flight 47 outbound to New York JFK. It is an A333-300, 15 years old. First flight was August 2007. Alright, how about retracting the landing gear? Seems like another one of those instances, and you always see it for some reason with the A330s, that they first have to air cool the brakes before retracting the landing gear. We've seen it before a couple of times, also yesterday with the A330 that was outbound to Boston that didn't take off initially but did take off in second instance. phenomenon I have only seen on A330s before, that they don't retract the landing gear right away, but I have to cool the brakes first. Now, I'm already zoomed in the most I can. The camera is starting to have difficulty keeping focus. Seem to have lost it. So, in the meantime, an Airbus from EasyJet took off, and another one is lining up at the threshold. It seems that the back-to-back action is slowing down after this airplane. Allows me also some time to catch up with you guys in the chat. At the threshold at the moment is an A319 from EasyJet outbound to London Stansted. The plane, 15 years old, first flight was in February 2008. It seems that a dad has took his little girl with him on this Monday to also be looking at the airplanes taking off today over here. That's good parenting. Meanwhile, if I look to my left, I can already see two more planes approaching just around the corner from runway 18 center, 36 center. Now, looking back towards the main platform area, two planes are inbound, two heavies by the looks of it, an A350 and a Dreamliner by the looks of it. Now, as I said before, I am not able to look at all your chats during streaming, but I do read everything back after I get home each time I've been live. So I do read all your messages, even though I might not be able to respond to them, because it is getting more busy and I am a one-man band. So looking at the chat, looking at flight radar, operating the camera, it is a bit involved. So, still working in order. Jean-Yves says Delta seems to have a problem. That's referring to the... That's in reference to the landing gear. It is something we see more often. I haven't seen it with other airplane types than the A330, but for some reason these brakes can get too hot and they first have to be air cooled, which is why they don't retract the landing gear right away. I haven't seen it happen with other airplane types other than the A330, but it does seem to be a type specific phenomenon. So, a little sip of water. So, if I show you guys a wider view, there's an A350 taxiing towards the threshold, and it's being followed by a Dreamliner on the left. Oh. And behind the Dreamliner, a third airplane. Also looks like a Dreamliner. Don't see any other traffic coming yet. Now, for those of you tuning in later, the weather is mostly sunny, but we have seen some showers. The one you see in the distance behind the main platform area, we had to temporarily cover from. Now if I show you guys where the wind is coming from, the northwest, you see it is mostly good. This might be a little bit of precipitation, but that is passing below me, so to speak, to the south of me, so that's no concern. Meanwhile, back to the threshold where the first A350 of the day has just entered the runway. Let me go to flight radar. It is China Airlines, an A350-900, outbound to Taipei, 5 years old, first flight, July 2017. A350 has to be one of my favorite aircraft, both the engine sound and the aesthetics. I have to say, it is the first Airbus that I really like seeing. The others do have aspects that I like, such as the engine sound or whatever, but the A350 has the complete package. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree or do you disagree? Do you like other airplanes better? Of course, the Queen is in a league of her own, that goes without saying. Alright, that was one Dreamliner, and already lined up at the threshold is the next one, and that is Air Europa, outbound to Madrid, Boeing 7878. She is 6 years old, first flight September 2016. Sounds like a D-rated takeoff. The pitch not being so high as the previous airplanes. Definitely a D-rated takeoff, spooling up with less RPM than the previous airplane did. Also much closer by destination. American, typically not flying to Spain, although I did forget to look at Flight Radar to see what its destination was. Madrid, of course, relatively close by, particularly for airplanes like this that are equipped and built to fly much further destinations. Meanwhile, the next airplane is coming over here. It is yet again an A330 from Delta. Now, let me quickly take this moment to switch my hand warmer from my right glove to my left glove because it is getting cold. There we go. Really had hoped that I wouldn't be needing gloves and a hand warmer anymore this time of year, but there you go. So for now, this is the only plane coming this way, but that doesn't mean that it's going to end. The A330 we see taxiing at the moment is Delta Flight 73, outbound to Atlanta, Georgia. The type A330-300. Age 6 years. First flight March 2017. Now, other airplanes are on the move. I see an A350 from Singapore Airlines that is active at least, but I don't see it on the move yet. United 777-200 is on the move to New York. EWR, what was that again? LaGuardia? Not sure. Did remember it at some point, but I forgot. More heavies on the way. Back to the camera it is. A330 already spooling up. Okay, no issues with landing gear retraction. Weather in the direction of the wind, still good. Needed the umbrella only a few minutes, 5 minutes or so. And otherwise it has been a lovely morning, although I do wish it would get a bit more summery more quickly. So more planes are on the way. We will have to wait a little bit. For those of you who have joined us just now, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live on this Monday morning. My name is Boy and we are standing alongside the Polderbaan. Let me have a look and see. Earlier this morning, the runways in use for departure were this one and runway 24, but I see that Kaagbaan is now used for landings in the 06 configuration, and interestingly enough, runway 27 is in use for landings as well. So that means that 2 runways are in use, and inbound traffic is approaching from opposite directions, but almost. So they will have to turn quickly if they need to do a go around. Also update the ticker then. I have some time right now. So departures is only this runway, 36 left, and arrivals is, and I did write it incorrectly, 09, but it is runway 27 and 24. No, 06, sorry. Always confusing. 06 and runway 27. Now, that also gives me some time to update the weather, which I always check before going live, to give you at least the latest weather of Schiphol before going live. The latest METAR. Copy paste. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way yet to update the ticker automatically, but I do it manually. So I have updated the latest weather and also the current runway usage. Now there are 2 777-200s taxiing this way. The first one will go to New York. The second one will go to Toronto. I think that is the flight that returned yesterday because of a row on board. KLM 777 departed yesterday to Toronto, I think it was. And somewhere in the vicinity of Iceland, one of the passengers stirred up a row, and I think the crew had to intervene, and the crew decided to fly back. I think they landed around 5:30 p.m. local time yesterday, the end of the afternoon. I wasn't over here, but I was filming departures, and I already left when when it was returning. I'm also checking the chat, your messages. So Jean-Yves mentions strange vector for Delta, the one with the landing gear issue. So has it returned, or has it continued its flight? Or was this an actual problem with the landing gear? CJ tuning in from Spain, good morning. Hope you're doing well over there. Okay, so the Delta A330 seems to go to London instead of going to New York. Interesting. So apparently not returning to Schiphol then, which you would think is more logical, particularly since Amsterdam is also a hub for Delta, so if they need technical support, you'd think they have it available over here, or at least otherwise KLM maintenance would be able to help them. To be continued, I think. Meanwhile, the first of the two 777-200s just around the corner, coming this way. The second one not far behind. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol, this runway 36 left, 18 right, the Polderbaan, the latest edition, was built in 2003. What you see in the middle of the screen in the distance is the main ATC control tower, but this runway is so far removed from the main platform area that the Polderbaan has its dedicated ATC control tower over here, and it also has its dedicated fire station, which is situated over there. So we are waiting for two 777s that are coming this way, and we'll take off in a few moments. That allows me also to take a sip of water. The second 777 also turned around the corner just now. Jono says that the North Atlantic tracks are more southern because of a high jet stream, so the A330 is just going to JFK. Okay. Glad to hear that they didn't have any emergencies. So, let me also go back to flight radar. The first triple that is now taxiing to the runway threshold. United Flight 71 going to New York, EWR, if I recall correctly, that is Newark, but please correct me if I'm wrong. The airplane, an oldie, 24 years old, a millennial. First flight was in January 1999. The second 777 that you see in the distance coming this way is KLM Flight 691, outbound to Toronto at 777-200 ER. Younger, but still not new. 16 years old. First flight was in January 2007. Meanwhile, the United Triple lining up at the runway threshold. So let me turn around the camera so you guys can see. And pulling up immediately, a turn and burn. You might hear the wind a little. It is expected to pick up a little over the day as the day progresses. You can also see the windmills in the background. They are spinning. It's not as stormy as it was earlier last week. The wind blowing from the northwest. These airplanes take off in northern direction, which means there is some crosswind from the left. But nothing to write home about. It's nothing extreme. Now, in terms of weather, for those of you tuning in later, we have some rain showers crossing over the country in the morning, but as the day progresses, it is said that they are going to die off. This is the direction of the wind, and we are in the clear for the coming time. We only had one shower that passed over us. Doesn't mean that there aren't any showers, because if I look to the south, you can see that is very much a shower that is moving to the left, but it is passing to the south, so we haven't been affected, nor will we be. Makes for a beautiful backdrop, a typical Dutch sky, I would say. Sun, clouds, rain showers, and airplanes. What more do you want? Could you want? Well, some traffic would be nice, of course. And that is what we are waiting for now. I see that there's an Embraer 190 from British Airways, operated by BA City Flyer, outbound to London City, coming this way, but it's still in the distance. It will become visible shortly. Now taxiing along runway 18 center, 36 center. Normally they would be able to cross it in the middle, but the runway is still closed for maintenance. It is expected to reopen again somewhere in April. By then they can also take a shortcut from the main platform area, particularly if your gate is at the north part of the main platform area of the terminal building. You would have to bypass the runway completely, so either go up and around the northern threshold, or taxi down and then back up again. It will get better for them hopefully next month, but you never know for sure with construction in the Netherlands. It gets delayed more often than not. So airplanes taking off from this runway already have considerable taxi time, 15 minutes or so, depending from which gate they are leaving. It can be longer than that because of the runway that is now closed for maintenance still. It also seems that runway 24 has reopened for departures, if I look at flight radar. So not all outbound traffic is coming this way. That will only be temporary. I do expect this runway to remain open for departures throughout the day. In the meantime, the Embraer from BA, the only airplane coming this way for now, but more will follow undoubtedly. Morgan Keischenk from Cologne checking in. Hope you're doing well. Hey there Chris, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Sam asks, until what time do you usually stream? Well, I don't have set times and dates that I stream. I usually take it as it goes. When I do morning arrivals, I typically try to stick around for the arrival of the Emirates A380 that on average arrives around 12:30 p.m. local time, so the beginning of the afternoon. For departures, it depends. It's also weather dependent. For now, I intend to stick around until, 12:30, 1 o'clock or so. It's now almost 12 o'clock. I do also have to do some other stuff later today, but it all depends. Sometimes you're about to wrap up and then all of a sudden a very interesting airplane, a special livery or some other airplane that is special is on the move. You stick around to see it. Other times traffic dies down and that creates a natural moment to also wrap it up. So this Embraer 190 on the way to London City. Beautiful backdrop of blue sky and clouds. Very Dutch landscape or airscape, if you will. Occasionally in the sun and then in the shade again. Also shows you the zoom capabilities of the camcorder. I think it's equivalent to 600 millimeters of focal length, 35 millimeter equivalent. Seems that my laptop fell over and switched off or at least it enabled a second camera on the switcher, but I don't have one, so the screen turned black. Apologies for that. I have a brick in my laptop tent that I use to elevate my laptop so that when it does rain and rain would get into the laptop tent, it doesn't make my laptop wet. Let me just grab a handkerchief, wipe everything dry, and let me get away the brick, put the laptop on the ground again, as we are not expecting any rain. We did have a few droplets in the laptop tent, but now everything is dry again, so I can just place the laptop on the ground, which means that it shouldn't tip over and accidentally switch anything on the A3 Mini switcher that I use for streaming. Alright. Now, brick does help to stabilize The Eagle says we have a black screen. Is that still the case, or is everything back to normal? From my end it seems that everything is in order again. Mats Bjorn says all good. Glad to hear. Yeah, I had my laptop elevated to make sure that it wouldn't get... It did start to rain, but the wind is blowing into the tent and onto the laptop screen, and it tipped it over and it bumped into my switcher and accidentally triggered a second camera, which I don't have. But that means that camera 1, my main camera, will go to black. Everything is back to normal, that's good. Now, traffic is slowing down somewhat because it seems that runway 24 is also open again for departures. Yep. 27 now the only runway used for landings, so outbound traffic is split between two runways. We are seeing next traffic coming this way. It is an A319 from British Airways outbound to London Heathrow. The airplane is 22 years old. First flight was in February 2001. And there is an E2 Embraer 195 outbound to Bergen, also coming this way, and another Embraer 175 from KLM outbound to Oslo is also coming this way. They are still taxiing around the threshold of 18 center, 36 center, so it will take a few minutes before they will show up. The Embraer 175 outbound to Oslo, 5 years old, first flight was in January 2018. So first up will be PA flight 431. Wind does seem to pick up a little at the moment, but we are still good. British Airways flight 431 outbound to London Heathrow, making its way over here. Probably also going to take off right in front of us and not go all the way back to the runway threshold. This airplane, as I said before, 22 years old, first flight was in February 2001. I have my power supply also wrapped up into garbage bags, and because of the wind picking up, it is making a bit more noise. So let me see if I can tuck it in under the power supply, which is basically like a big paperweight. Hopefully it reduces the noise the bags make a little bit. The A319 indeed coming this way to take off right in front of us. Lovely shot with the main ATC control tower in the background. Now, as it doesn't have to evade weather, the standard instrument departure for these airplanes that are going to the west is to follow the runway heading until they reach the North Sea Canal, which is connecting the North Sea to the inland lake of Markermeer, and also flows through Amsterdam if you look on the map. Once it reaches the North Sea Canal, it will make a left-hand turn to the west, start heading out to the North Sea. Once it's over the North Sea, this airplane that needs to go to the southwest will turn further to the left in southwestern direction and will be flying to the south of England, outbound to London. All has to do with the strict noise abatement rules around Schiphol, west of the Netherlands, densely populated, Amsterdam nearby, the city of Haarlem also nearby, and that means that the routes they have to follow, also the runways that can be used during certain times of the day, strictly regulated. Now, the airplane just vanished into the clouds, unable to follow it any further. When you zoom out, you can see it's a friendly cloud. This is the direction of the wind, northwest. And for the time being, we're good. No more rain showers are expected for now. The wind is definitely picking up, and if I show you the chimneys of the power plant in the west port area of Amsterdam, you can see it seems to be quite hard over there. Meanwhile, the E2 Embraer 195 also arrived and is lining up as we speak, ready to go. In the background, the Embraer 175 looking to go to the runway threshold. Now, we have seen a rejected takeoff from an E2 Embraer not too long ago over here. Let's see if this one will take off. At least it's spooling up, so unless they have to abort before V1, sorry. No issues by the looks of it. Gears going up as well. All right. Back to the threshold. It is then where the Embraer 175 is lined up. She's spooling up. takeoff roll. Probably due to not a lot of cargo and weight on board, and also enough wind to create drag, or lift I should say. So we are waiting for the following traffic. I do see a Queen active on the platform from Singapore Airlines. Diverting to Sharjah, it already says on flight radar, but it hasn't taken off yet. Hey there Martin, goedemiddag. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We are waiting for the next traffic. First up will be an Embraer 190 from KLM that is outbound to Dublin, and Delta flight 49 is also coming this way, an A333 outbound to New York JFK. Don't know yet what the 747 from Singapore is going to do. Diverting to Sharjah it says, but that is still in the direction of Singapore, and in both cases I think out of the two runways used for departures at the moment, it could go either way. This one is a longer taxi, runway 24, also in opposite direction but closer by. Now let me also see. I see that there's also an A330 to Mumbai underway. That one can also go either way. I see United 21 to Houston activating just now, 777-200. That is most likely going to depart from over here, but we'll have to see. What I do know for sure is that there's an A330-200 from Delta coming this way, and before it is the Embraer 190 from KLM outbound to Dublin, KLM flight 935. She's coming this way. You can already see her. 5 years old. First flight was in February 2018. Delta 49, the A330-200, that is also going to come around the corner from the right hand side of the screen in a few moments. Outbound to New York JFK, 18 years old. First flight was in October 2004. And there's a second Embraer 190 from KLM also making its way over here. That is going to fly to Aberdeen and is 14 years old. First flight was in November 2008. Right now we're waiting for the Embraer KLM flight 935 outbound to Dublin, 5 years old. First flight February 2018. Rolling start, a turn and burn. I do feel that the wind is picking up a bit. So notice it by the vibrations that the camera is making, despite the tripod being securely fastened to the ground. Wires and 10 pegs around each of the 3 tripod legs and firmly planted into the grass, the ground. Meanwhile, the A330 has just come around the corner, coming this way. So let me turn around so you guys can see her. Hey there, Andy Abs. Good morning, mate. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you again. We are having a nice day for streaming, although earlier this morning we did had to cover a little while for a little bit of rain, a few hailstones, but nothing too serious. Mostly nice weather. We are still having a few showers over the Netherlands. You can see one in the distance. It passed just south of me. This is looking to the south. This is looking to the east. And this is to the north. This is to the northwest. This is where the wind is blowing from. And looking to the west. So yeah, if I look over there, you can also see a little bit of an anvil, so there is still some activity in the air, but it is mostly dry, not warm yet. It is approximately 4 or 5 degrees centigrade, so that is in the high 30s Fahrenheit. Despite it being spring and we are over to summertime since last weekend, the weather is lagging a bit behind the calendar. Now the A330 is going to taxi over to the runway threshold. Meanwhile, we could also see that the second Embraer 190 just appeared from the main platform area. By the time it gets here, the A330 will have taken off. Photo for you. I can confirm that it is still cold out here. I have my gloves on. I have a ski hat over my cap, and I also have to resort to using my hand warmer in order to prevent my hands from freezing. And my nose is also still runny, also indicative of low air temperatures outside. Also, I'm wearing rain trousers over my jeans, not only to protect from rain, but mostly because it's also a double layer that keeps you warm better. A trick I learned from when I was young and had a paper round in the early morning. So the Schiphol scarecrows back around the end of the runway, setting off some fireworks. You probably hear it. You can see the poofs of smoke when it fires off the flare gun. Now in the meantime, the Embraer 175 over at the threshold on the other side is lining up, so let me turn around the camera for you guys so we can see. So again, this airplane outbound to Aberdeen, 14 years old, first flight was in November 2008. I can imagine that it might have to wait a few minutes because the bird controller is still working on the other side of the runway, but I think it's not on the runway itself, so most likely it is going to take off any minute. Folks, if you are liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. It greatly helps me to reach more people like you and me who are also into content like this. Plus it allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future you receive a heads up. And if you're feeling like it and have the time for it, you can join us again for another stream. KLM blue versus the blue sky and some clouds, a typical Dutch backdrop. Some fireworks as well, so Happy New Year everybody. If you're a pyromaniac and are into fireworks, then working as a bird controller over here at Schiphol might be the job for you. You can play with fireworks and flares. Use a gun if you're into that all year round. The work never stops. It's 24/7 over here. The airport never closes down for traffic, although of course during nighttime it is much quieter than during the day. Jeroen Borsboom says, awesome live stream, good luck at the pull around. Thank you so much, Jeroen. I do my best. A lot of chats. Again, I miss out on a lot of your chats, but I do read every message when I get home after each live stream. So if you think I am ignoring you, I don't do that on purpose. It is sometimes a bit more involved. Now I have some time to look at your messages again. Earlier it was back-to-back action, and then even looking at Flight Radar to give you the background information for all the airplanes taking off is not even possible. In that sense, the streaming channels that operate in duos have it more easy because one can focus on the camera work and the other can interact with the crowd and also look at the background info of the airplanes. Oh, Rick asked if I'm also into flight sim. Not so much anymore. Gaming and flight simming. I did do it when I was a kid, but I just don't have the time for it. And flight simming, while it's very interesting, also requires, if you want to do it properly and not use a keyboard, you do need to have quite an elaborate setup. And yeah, at some point earlier in my life, I did do it. I also at some point had, what's it again, PMDG or so, real life like 737 simulator, where every knob and every item was replicated, so you could do flight simming, but yeah, that was a long while ago. At the moment, going to the gym, household chores, just maintaining your household, working, live streaming takes up most of my time. Hey Roy, thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend. And Aviation Delta asks, have they stopped using Polderbound? They haven't, but they have also opened up runway 24, and at the moment a lot of the traffic outbound is taking off from 24. If I look at the app that shows you the current runway usage, you can also check it out at lvnl.nl, which is the website of Dutch Air Traffic Control. On the homepage itself, if you scroll down, you can also see the map. There's also an app that basically, I think, is linked to that website. Shows you the active runway usage of Schiphol, and at the moment 36 left and 24 are both in use for departures. Runway 27 the only runway in use for landings. Now I think that runway 24, given the prevailing wind, will only be active temporarily. But at the moment traffic is slowing down a little bit. At least traffic that is taxiing over here. There is a 737 underway from KLM outbound to Edinburgh, but a lot of the traffic is going to runway 24 at the moment. Now unfortunately, from where I am situated, it is a bit hard to follow outbound traffic. I can show you what I can see from over here, but it isn't a lot compared to traffic taking off from over here. As most of you will probably know by now, this runway, the Polderbaan, is furthest removed from the main platform area. So planes taking off and landing on the Kaagbaan, runway 0624, you are able to see it from over here, but you are removed quite far away. I'm now just checking in the distance if I can see an airplane take off, so I can show you guys what you can see from over here. It's mostly a silhouette. And meanwhile, looking to my left and also visible on the right on your screen is the 737 that is coming this way. Oh yeah, there's a plane taking off from runway 24. Let me show you. Where is it? There it is. So this is what you can see, and this is zoomed in maximally with my camera. This is what you can see from traffic taking off from runway 24. Not a whole lot. You can see the silhouette, particularly under these lighting conditions. Hard to make out the airline operator from over here. So aesthetically, visually not that appealing, if you ask me. The clouds and the sky are very nice though, looking in this direction with the sun over there. So this is the next plane, the aforementioned 737-800 from KLM outbound to Edinburgh. 22 years old, first flight September 2000. Given how quiet it is, my expectation is that it's going to come straight ahead and take off right in front of us. Hey Catherine, thank you so much for your super chat, very much appreciated, thank you so much. Now let me go back to the camera. I see that the 737 is a little bit to the right. Probably it's going to come straight ahead and take off right in front of us. Don't see any added value in it taxiing all the way to the runway threshold. The runway is long enough so that it won't be needing all that runway length. There's also an Embraer 190 outbound to Gothenburg coming this way, and an A320 Neo to London Luton from EasyJet. It's not back-to-back action anymore, but traffic is still trickling down to this runway. You can see that there's a little bit of crosswind from the left. In order to follow the runway heading, the airplane has to face a bit more to the left to keep flying straight ahead. So meanwhile, the next airplane also taxiing over here, getting visible better and better. This is an Embraer 190 from KLM outbound to Gothenburg. KLM flight 1157. She's 13 years old. First flight was in June 2009. And the next plane is going to be the A320 Neo outbound to London Luton from EasyJet. And it's going to be followed by another E2 Embraer 195 from KLM that is going to Stavanger. But first up, this Embraer 190 outbound to Gothenburg. Now everybody wave to the pilots. Wind does seem to be picking up a little bit compared with how it was when I began streaming earlier this morning. Hopefully that doesn't mean that you guys have started hearing the crackling sound that I still haven't found cause for yet. It always seems to be occurring when I'm standing alongside this runway. Still trying to find out what's causing it. The other day when it was storming at runway 27 and when I removed the rain cover that I had on most of the time, listening back to it, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear the crackling, which surprised me because I thought it was related to a connector that goes into my camera, even though manipulating all the connectors never made me being able to replicate the sound. But I didn't hear anything, and it was blowing way harder then than it is now over here, or other occasions over here at the Polderbaan. So the E2 Embraer 195 just behind the plane here in the foreground. Again, this is an A320neo from EasyJet outbound to London Luton. The airplane, 4 years old, first flight November 2018. Folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive a heads up, and it also helps me greatly to reach more people like you and me who are also into content like this. Beginning to notice that stepping around my tripod becomes a bit more challenging. I'm standing in a grass field. Now the grass and the soil are still very much wet, and you walk around your tripod as you operate the camera from right to left and back again, or at least I do. And by walking up and down so much, the grass has turned into sticky mud somewhat, which means it takes a bit more effort to walk around. Now there's an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM also coming this way, outbound to Stavanger. She's 1 year old, first flight February 2022. So she just celebrated her first birthday last month. You guys can probably hear it as well. These Embraers are really quiet. I think it might also be a D-rated takeoff, so lower RPM than normal, but even still, the Neos too. You can see the crosswind component. You really have to face left more to follow the runway heading, which is basically flying to the north. Now turning around the camera once again towards the main platform area. Don't see anything coming just yet. Let me also have a look at flight radar. There is movement, and they're heavies, so that's cool. first airplane, and now just around the south threshold, turning around the corner and still needing to come back up again, is United Flight 947. It is a 7878 Dreamliner and it's outbound to Washington. The airplane, 10 years old, first flight November 2012. And it is being followed by another Dreamliner from KLM, a 78710, outbound to Chicago. Then there is another Dreamliner from TUI that is going to fly to Curacao, also coming this way. We see an Embraer 175 outbound to Inverness behind it, and an A320 from SAS to Stockholm, also coming this way. Looking at the slew of airplanes, let me quickly go back to the Baangebruik Schiphol app that I also use to look at the current runway usage. And surprisingly, runway 24 on the app still seems to be open, but you'd almost start to think that this is once again the only runway for departures. Now, let me take this moment to grab a sip of water. Also blow my nose because it is running a marathon again. In that sense, I cannot wait for it to get a bit warmer, because it's also hard to talk when your nose is constantly full. Morgen Koenie Linux, good to see you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Dennis Lindro is also checking in from Helsinki. Good morning, hope you're doing well, mate. So we have to wait a few minutes, but there is more underway. Let me look at all your chats. Oh, Joseph Shanuda asked if I am at the Spottersplatz near the Mac. Today I'm not. The Spottersplatz at the Mac is at a different location, but if you Google, or if you go to Google Maps and you look for Spottersplatz Polderbaan, that's Polderbaan, you can find the location that is near to where I am. The official Spottersplatz of Polderbaan is a bit further ahead. I can show you. If you look that up, you will also be able to find the location that I am standing at. The official Spottersplatz Polderbaan is over there. It's a large parking lot. During the weekends you can also get some french fries and ice cream over there. And there's a road that goes to a crossing that's behind this building and the trees. And if you take a left-hand turn, you will end up at a little roundabout, which is over here. And I'm standing in the grass just next to it, so that the fence over here doesn't obstruct the view for you guys. So if you look for Spottersplatz Polderbaan, look at Google Maps, you can also find the other entrance where I am standing at right now. So the McDonald's is actually on the other side, behind the main platform area. This is, let me think, this is northwest of the main platform area, and the Spottersplatz at the Mac is on the east side, so exactly on the opposite side. Rick making a good suggestion to put on a clown's nose, maybe it keeps it warmer. Well, it's not so much that it's getting, well, maybe it's, I think it's the air temperature actually that you breathe in that makes it run faster, not so much the nose itself getting cold, but don't know that for sure. So that basically would mean that I would have to breathe in hot air, which means that I would also breathe out hot air, which means that I'm full of hot air, and that's it's not something. I think just praying that summer comes around quickly is the best option for now. Hey Kat, good morning. Good to see you again. So we can see a slew of airplanes coming this way. So buckle up. We're in for another round of outbound traffic in a few moments. Roy correctly noting that Kathleen has become a mod. She offered yesterday and I gladly accepted her offer. Earlier, Paul Usher also offered to become a moderator, and back then, but over the last week, I saw that traffic in the chat increased a lot and I wasn't able, particularly on busy days, to see all your messages, so I figured maybe having some mods would be useful. Now, unfortunately, I asked Paul yesterday when he was also in the chat, but I didn't get a response from him. If any other people are interested, let me know. Don't feel obligated to tune in if you have other things to do or if you don't feel like joining the chat, but just look at it as when you are there and you see something that needs moderation, you will be allowed to do so. So a lovely view of all the traffic that is taxiing towards the threshold. Dreamliner from United is closest by. I see that there's more heavies underway. A 777 to Shanghai, Air Canada Dreamliner, they're all coming this way. I was thinking of stopping the stream around 12:30 to 1 p.m. local time, but with all the heavies now coming, I am going to stick around for a bit longer. Would be a waste, would be a shame to not see them all back to back taking off. However, when the back to back action from the heavies slows down, I think that will also be a right moment for me to stop with today's stream. But for now, this is United 946 outbound to Washington. The next Dreamliner is already lined up. It is KLM flight 611 outbound to Chicago, a 787-10 Dreamliner, 2 years old. First flight May 2020. In the meantime, TUI Dreamliner lined up at the threshold, Boeing 7878 off to Willemstad, Curaçao, 8 years old, first flight May 2014. Now, I just realized that so far we haven't seen any Queens yet. Would be nice if another 747 would be coming this way. At the threshold, at the moment, Embraer 175, KLM flight 927, outbound to Inverness, 6 years old, first flight September 2016. Now the smaller plane, of course, has to wait a little bit for the wake turbulence of the heavy that went before it to dissipate. Definitely tell that the wind is picking up a little bit. These airplanes depart in northern direction. The wind is blowing from the northwest, so there's crosswind from the left for these airplanes. You might hear it as well on the video, on the stream. Line up at the threshold already. is a 16-year-old Airbus A320 off to Stockholm. Lining up at the threshold, the next plane, it is another heavy. This would be China Eastern Airlines 777-300 ER off to Shanghai, 7 years old, first flight July 2015. Air Canada, Dreamliner 7879, outbound to Toronto, 6 years old, first flight December 2016. This is an Embraer 190 from KLM, flight 1345, off to Billund, 11 years old, first flight January 2012. I see we have a lot of viewers. For those of you who are new to the channel, if you're liking what you're seeing, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. It greatly helps me to reach more people like you and me, and it allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future, you'll receive a heads up and can join us if you feel like it and have the time for it. We're now waiting to see what's happening. There's also an E2 Embraer over here to my left, not yet on the runway. There's a Delta A330 also entering the queue. Okay, the Embraer is on the move. seems that the E2 Embraer, yep, lights are on, will take off first. Off to Newcastle, E2 Embraer 195, 1 years old, first flight November 2021. Meanwhile, at the threshold, the next plane is already lined up. Finnair A321 200, outbound to Helsinki, 5 years old, first flight April 2017. Are we going to see a display of fireworks from K1, the bird controller over here? Maybe not. So at the threshold, KLM flight 1129, a Boeing 737-700, outbound to Copenhagen, Denmark, 13 years old, first flight November 2009. Meanwhile, at the threshold, another of Delta's A330s. This one off to Minneapolis, A330-300, 19 years old, first flight June 2003. No landing gear issues with this A330. Alright, let's have a look. 2 more A330s coming this way, ladies and gentlemen. Hey Paul, good to see you. Roy found Paul for me. Awesome. So, a Turkish A330 in a somewhat special livery by the looks of it. Let me have a look. It is the UEFA Champions League livery, so we do have a special livery. And what do you know? It is going to take off right in front of us. Turkish A330-300, flight 1952, outbound to Istanbul. The airplane 12 years old, first flight March 2011. The gear is retracting with each A330 taking off. It is something to keep checking. At the threshold, meanwhile, yet another A330 is already lined up. This one, KLM flight 651, outbound to Washington, A330-300, 11 years old, first flight in February 2012. Alright, now there is another slew of narrow bodies getting over here. However, I don't think I'm going to stick around for all of them. Now, Paul, if you are still offering to become a moderator, I will gladly accept that. So let me know if you're still interested. No strings attached. Same goes for Kat. just feel free to moderate if you see fit, but don't feel in any way or form obligated to tune in more often than you otherwise would. If you have other things to do, do other things. If you don't feel like joining, don't join, but see it as an opportunity to intervene if seen fit when you are around in the chat. Was one of Transavia's many 737s. Let's see what's next. We have a KLM 737, an ITA Airways Airbus, KLM Embraer, and another E2 Embraer from KLM by the looks of it. ITA Airways, beautiful livery. And Infinity also offering to moderate in the chat. Paul confirming I will make you guys moderators once I get home. Thank you so much, you guys, for offering. Again, just look at it as an opportunity to intervene if you guys see fit. Don't feel obligated to tune in more often than you otherwise would do just because you're a moderator. Just see it as an opportunity to do something about unwanted messages when you are around, but it is all very much a voluntary thing. Don't feel obligated to be around if you have other things to do or don't want to be around. The E2 Embraer from KLM taking the shortcut, taking off in front of us over here. Wind is picking up, definitely. I think the windmills in the background are also spinning at a higher rate than they did before. Now there's also a shower in the distance. Won't affect me over here. But if I zoom out, you guys can see we're not yet completely rid of all the showers coming towards the Netherlands from the northwest. Oh, I feel a few droplets. Interesting, because the sky above me not very threatening. You can definitely see there is wind. And there's also an ITA Airways. Taking off. The beautiful Azzurro of Italy, also with the Italian tricolore on the tail. Alright, so a few droplets, but if I look, there is no immediate threat, because this is where the wind is blowing from. So apparently this little cloud just released a few droplets. Now there's an Embraer at the threshold, 175. More curious to see what's coming. I see curved winglets, so that is either an A350 or it is an A330 Neo. Let me have a look at flight radar, because it is already getting somewhat late and I also have some other things to do. But yeah, this is Cathay Pacific. It is an A350-1000, the biggest of the bunch. And I am going to stick around for its departure. And I think I'm going to wrap it up for today after that. Blanco asks if I can film the A380 that is coming in a few minutes. Let me have a look. We are waiting for the A350, so let me change the filter to both inbound and outbound traffic. Blanco, I think I will not be able to film the A380 because it seems that runway 36 right is now open for landings together with the Polderbaan runway 06. That means, and I see that the A380 is approaching runway 36 right. It is on the exact opposite side of the airfield. I won't be able to film it, I won't be able to see it. So unfortunately, I cannot do that for you, my friend. I am going to stick around for the Cathay Pacific A350-1000, the biggest of the bunch. Don't remember having seen it before. I think most of them have been 900s. The Cathay Pacific flight 270 to Hong Kong. The last airplane of the day for me. And I see that the wind has shifted my camera, so let me put on the lock of the pan so you can see it approach. So Cathay Pacific will be the last flight for today. It is an A350-1000. She's 4 years old. The first flight was in October 2018 and she's going to Hong Kong. Folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, if you're new to the channel but you like what you see, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future you receive a heads up, and it also greatly helps me to reach more people like you and me, grow the channel. The faster and the bigger the channel grows, the quicker I can start doing this full time, which when given the chance I will definitely do so. So here she is. Quite a large airplane. It's probably some smaller airplanes skipping the line ahead of the A350. There is an Embraer to my left that is looking to take off first. second airplane that departs before the A350. I don't think there will, as the A350 is already lined up. I think it also already has its lights on. Although maybe just looking, what's this one going to do? It also has lights on, so I think this will also go ahead before the A350. Yep, entering the runway. Pegasus A320neo, A321neo. Let's wave to the pilots in their sunglasses cockpit. Picking up the sound. Alright folks, once again this is going to be the last airplane of today. I want to thank each and every one of you already for joining me here today. I've had a blast once again, so thank you all so much. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to turn on notifications so that you get a notification whenever I go live in the future. For those of you who already have, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Really surprised by how quickly the channel is growing. Beautiful, beautiful machine. Lovely sound. Despite its size, still a very sleek appearance. Now once again, this has been the last plane for today. Again, thanks everyone who joined us today. Hope to see you all at the next one. I will not be able to go live tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursdays because I have other obligations. Weather permitting, I'm looking to go live again on Friday. I will keep you guys updated. Not sure yet if the weather is going to be any good and if I'm going to do a morning or afternoon show local time. Hopefully I will see you again during the next stream. If not, then hopefully at another one. I want to thank you all again for joining me. Also, thank you to all the people who have generously donated super chats today. I keep forgetting to thank those people at the end of the stream. But thank you guys so much, it means a lot to me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it today. Have a nice Monday. I will see you guys again soon. Take care for now, be well, and until the next one, bye for now.